Hello everyone and welcome to the next tutorial here on Duct Tape Stuff. Today I'm coming to you live from my kitchen. I'm going to show you how to make a duct tape whip in this tutorial. Basically this is my first prototype whip that I made. It's I used three 7.5 foot long strips to make about a 5.5 foot long whip. So that's about your equation. You're going to lose about 2 feet off the strips that you cut when you start weaving or braiding the whip together. So I start off with 7.5 foot strips. I ended up with a 5.5 foot long whip. So let me get off the floor here and I'll show you my little setup here that I have for making the duct tape whip. Basically, I have the 3 strips here that are stuck to the countertop, and these strips are 3.5 feet long. I'm just picked that length just to give you an idea on how to make this whip. Obviously you can make it any length you want. And I have them attached to the chair over here just so that they're taut and I can work with them spreading across there. So remember, you're going to lose about 2 feet off the length that you originally cut depending on how tightly you weave it. So let's zoom in here and I'm going to show you how to make the duct tape whip. Well, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to make sure that all 3 of your strips are the same length. So if you picked 5.5 feet or 7.5 feet, you want to make sure that they're all the same length. You're going to cut them to make sure they're all stuck on the same spot. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to start where the let's say leave about an inch here off to where the tape comes off the countertop here, and we're going to stick these strips together to form half a strip. So you're just going to very carefully keep going along, and it's going to be a little bit tricky just because if you stick it down evenly it's going to have a little bit of sticky side showing, which isn't a bad thing, but you just want to make sure that you eventually correct that as you keep going along. And you might get a few little creases as you go along, but it's not going to be too much of a problem because it'll all be braided together. So I'm going to do this part all the way along, so because you can see I have the strip there. And as I get all the way to the end down here towards the right, I'm going to start on the next one. So I'm going to start on that one next. Now remember, this part here is not being stuck together, that's already stuck down to the countertop. So we're going to start with the second one here. Just fold that together and continue all the way along. You're going to do this all the way, the entire length of the strips for all 3 of them. So once you do that, we'll move on to the next step. So once you've got all 3 of those sides stuck together, you won't have any sticky side left. And as you can see, they just drape all the way down to the floor there. No sticky sides, just half strips. And basically what we're going to do now is we're going to start braiding them together. So basically what I did is I stuck them all closer together so they're all 3 right next to each other. Take a long strip of tape and you're going to stick that right on top here just to make sure those don't peel up when you start braiding them. And we're going to do this exactly the same way we did it in my ID lanyard tutorial, which was 2 videos ago. I've got a lot of people who told me that it wasn't weaving what I was doing, as I kept calling it. It's called braiding, so I guess it's braiding. So that's what we're going to be doing. We'll take the outside one here, cross it over the middle, take this one, cross it over here, pull it tight, and then followed by the one on the outside, followed by the one on the outside. And you're just going to keep doing this again and again and again until you get all the way to the end, and that'll be at that point your whip will be completed. Basically, if you think that it's either getting too wide or too narrow, you can go back and redo a section. But basically, you should be able to. It should be the same size if you're doing it pulling it the same way each time. So you shouldn't have too much difficulty with that. Or if you want to redo it, if it looks a little funky, you can just go back and do it again. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep doing this over and over and over again until I get to the end of the strands down here. So do that now. So this is basically what it looks like after you've gotten all your braids in there. As you can see, got all nice and braided just like that. Next thing I'm going to do for the end here is I left a little bit of the strip showing for the tassels here. So I'm just going to take a strip of tape here, stick it right above the tassels, and I'm just going to very simply just wrap it around. And that'll obviously keep it from unraveling on you. So just wrap that just like that. Then add a little decoration. I'm just going to cut it just to give it a little bit of a design. And it looks a little bit better. So I'm just going to take 2 strips in each one just so it's got some tassels on there, as you can see. Just like the other one. And then basically what we'll do is work on the handle. That's going to be our next step. Now we're going to work on the handles. So what I did here is I just pulled up those 3 here and I just kind of mashed them together and kind of in kind of a tube, just like the rest of the weave is here. And then what I'm going to do is I took a strip here that's about 5 inches long, and you can either just extend onto this and create your handle just by wrapping duct tape around, or you can actually cover a part of the whip here. So that's exactly what I'm going to do for this. I'm going to stick it on here and then just wrap it around, and that'll provide the skeleton for the handle already, because it's part of the whip is underneath there. So basically what you can do is just keep wrapping these pieces around until you have a decent handle, and it's, you know, it'll make it a little bit thicker each time, just so you have a little bit of a handle there. So that's basically how to make a duct tape whip. Obviously you can make it any length you want, any colors you want, and you can just go at it with just like that. You can experiment with different ways to make it crack a little bit better. This works pretty well with just the little strips on here, but just make sure you don't hurt yourself or anything. So basically that's how to make a duct tape whip, and I will see you guys next time. Hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. Take care.